Yeah, so this talk is going to be in English. I hope you guys can follow along. If there's any questions or anything, then maybe Sibelius will be so kind as to help us afterwards with any questions or anything like that. Yeah, so let me just full screen this. So up on the top left, you see the link to the slides, so you guys can follow along or look at them again later. Up on the top right, that's Twitter handle, GitHub, whatever. It'll be there during the full presentation, so don't worry about getting it right now. Yeah, so as my intro was saying, I'm Austrian, but I'm also Canadian, so yeah, dual citizen. I'm living in Austria right now. I'm living in Vienna. I came from Canada, so I came from way in the west near Vancouver. And yeah, so that's kind of my background. I'm a JavaScript engineer, but I write a lot of other stuff lately. So I've been writing a lot of SQL lately, and I've been doing a bunch of backend stuff, and yeah, a lot of GraphQL, Flow. Yeah, so types, these kinds of things, they really interest me. Like I really like the computer sciencey kind of stuff. Because I never went through the computer science school. I just taught myself this stuff. So yeah, this really interests me. Yeah, so what are we going to go over today? So we have the five points here. So like basically, what are web standards? So what they are, who defines them, and how they are defined. So the process behind it. So the discontent with web standards, so the problems with it, the problems that people have with it, and then also the new approaches, so solutions to that. And then we're looking at React, so the principles of React, so the opinions that they have, how they embrace standards, how they curate that, and yeah, the web standards proposals that they also bring to the table. So there's some people from the React team, and then also from the community that are on the TP39 and on these different standards groups. So I'll show you some of that. And then also the future. So what is the future of maybe the DOM of web standards, stuff like that. So yeah, this is going to be a little bit of a talk. So we try to get it in within half an hour, 40 minutes. I'll have to go a little bit fast, so I hope you guys follow along. So first of all, just to define, we're not talking about just the library here. No, we're not talking about just React as the library. We're talking about the paradigm of React. So what does it mean to define your UI as functions? So how do you declaratively define your UIs? And we're also talking about the ecosystem behind it, so the community and the various different parts of that, and also the philosophy. So basically, the minimalism, functional programming, immutability, this kind of stuff. Yeah. So when I say React, I don't mean necessarily the library, but everything around that. So first of all, web standards. So this is how you do DOM manipulation. So DOM manipulation is something that maybe you want to do in a browser. Maybe you want to change how things look, or maybe you want to add new elements, stuff like this. So this is what it looks like in web standards. So it's verbose. You've got a lot of stuff to remember, and you probably don't want to write this code. Here's another example. So this is using a video tag. I don't know if you can see that, but it's basically creating a video tag and then adding some callbacks. Okay. Yeah. So to like click, to play and then stop it. And then like custom elements. So web components, one of the specs of web components is called custom elements. That's how you create a custom element. So it's kind of like a React component. Very verbose, lots of stuff that you need to do one after the other. If you do it in a different order, then it doesn't work. Yeah, just not very good. Okay, so who is part of the the web standards groups. So you have the different technical advisory groups like the W2C and then TC39, that's the one behind JavaScript and also behind ECMAScript. And then you have the CSS working groups, the Houdini task force, so that's like, they're doing interesting things with making new ways of doing styling. And then you have the WebVP and also the WICG. They just do various different things, but it's not too important what they do. So who are in these groups? So a lot of big companies, and then a couple of invited experts. So some individual single people who have expertise in certain things. They also require a fee sometimes. So TC39, for instance, you have to pay something in order to become a member, which kind of makes it discriminatory in a way that, if you don't have the money, you're out. And then even a smaller group of companies are the people that are actually implementing. So once you have a standard, how can you bring this out to end users? How can it be enhanced in developers? So you need a browser or you need some kind of like runtime. And so these are the main people that are going to deal with that. So just really small group of people that are deciding about the future of this. So how are web standards made? So they're consensus-based. So that means that multiple stakeholders need to agree on something. So they need to be all a part of this, and they can do things like ignore recommendations if they don't like that, or they can make their own proprietary APIs. So one good example of that is actually something that turned into something great. So Ajax. Ajax was like this thing where Microsoft went off and they did their own thing. It turned out to be really good, but it also can be something where, okay, it's only for one browser. Maybe they control a lot of market share or something like that. Yeah, it's just not a great situation. And it can also be like where vendors block standards. So for instance, there was this version called ES4, so that was ECMAScript 4. And in that case, Microsoft decided, no, actually, we don't really like what's going on here. The ES4 people decided we're not going to change. So nothing ever really came of ES4. And then it eventually turned into ES5 and ES6. ES5 was a really small thing, and ES6 was a big one. But yeah, so there was a large period of just no progress there. So one thing that is happening, luckily, is that some of the teams are working on trying to make this situation better. So they're trying to, they have guidelines for themselves and for others so that they start working together in a better way. This is the Chromium team. So this just goes to show that it's very different. So it's a fundamentally different process of developing than if you're going to have like a monoculture where you have like a single library kind of thing. So a single library such as React. So just keep this in mind. Web standards are different, and this is why maybe it doesn't move quite as fast. So we'll take a look at that a little bit later too. So some people have problems with that. So problems with the way that web standards look, like what I was mentioning before, how it's very verbose. So first of all, you have excessive boilerplate. So a lot of stuff that you have to write. We saw that in the examples. You have incompatibilities between different browsers. Some stuff is missing. Maybe it doesn't. It's not very good. Or for instance, you have a date picker that doesn't quite work in the other browsers, or it looks different, or something like that. Or you have this non-memorable syntax. So you have like, okay, so what should I use? Subster, substring. How do I use that again? And you also have imperative. So imperative means that you are giving commands to something as opposed to declaring how it should look. And imperatively means that you're going to have to keep the state of the program in your head, and it just makes it harder to debug and reason about. And we'll show later how declarativity actually makes it easier to follow. And it's also stateful. So what do the new approaches look like? So where we can go back in history, look at prototype, look at jQuery, Dojo, tools. So this is jQuery's take on Ajax. So this compared to the way that Ajax is, if you don't make it sugary, like if you don't use a library for it, this is a lot nicer. I mean, that was one of the things that was really nice about jQuery. You can have, like this is how you make a DOM element in Dojo. And so this is a lot easier than that huge, or actually, yeah, making the DOM element doesn't take too many lines, but still it's a lot better. And yeah, the stuff that actually was inspired, they inspired the standards. So in some cases, so jQuery, it had this selector kind of approach, and then it inspired the standards. So actually, this is where a lot of this talk goes in this direction. So the original new approaches, and then how that actually inspires web standards to change. So yeah, query selector always was a direct inspiration from jQuery. Another thing was CoffeeScript. So in 2009, so this is a new JS language. I also jumped on this bandwagon and tried it out for a little while. I had it with the Angular 1 app, so that was quite interesting. And yeah, I mean, like it looks cool. I mean, like you got a lot of you're making it a lot easier to use. It turned out in the end that like CoffeeScript kind of died down a little bit when ES6 was introduced. So there was a lot of features from CoffeeScript, like the arrow function. So the arrow function was something that was also inspired by something else. So it was inspired by CoffeeScript in this case. And then you're moving on to like Angular, Knockout, Ember. So these are like data binding. So you have this idea where you have a template, and then you have a model behind it. So your information comes from somewhere, and then you want to update this, and you don't want to do it manually anymore. And so, another footnote to that is that it originally came from this like .NET SAML thing. It's really interesting to see that it was a lot earlier. So the data binding, that was the 2009 to 11 version, it was also in Ember, so this is what it looks like there. And then came along React. So React improved upon some of these paradigms, so some of these ideas that were brought up by the different frameworks, different libraries. So one of those things was data binding. So data in React, the implementation details of data binding, they kind of fade into the background. So you do have this kind of thing where you get props. It looks kind of magic. Like why are props coming there? But once you learn about that thing, you don't need to learn about much more because it's a lot of just JavaScript. So you have the same rules that you would have in JavaScript. So in expressions, so anything within those curly braces are going to be evaluated as an expression. So you're going to be able to use the full power of JavaScript. So another thing that they did a little bit differently was the virtual DOM. So what they decided to do was to take everything, and so they make a change to whatever in everything, and then they make a diff between it. So what's the old state, what's the new state, and then they only update that particular part of the real DOM. So it's more performant. You don't need to worry about it. It all happens in the background. you, it seems like you're replacing everything. Yeah, so it's another thing where these implementation details fade into the background. So functional programming as well. So they had some different ideas there. So they actually had the first prototypes that were developed in React. They were created in this language called standard ML. So it has this functional programming roots, and also immutability. So just that you're not actually mutating your data as much. So it's not like, for instance, Angular, where you have this two-way data binding. So the things on the client can actually update your model, and then the model can update the client, which makes for a weird class of bugs. So they decided to go with an immutable approach. And so another thing that another paradigm that they did differently was the component model. So it was about consistency. So it was about being able to take different components and put them together in a way that you can count on. So you can publish a React component, and then somebody else will be able to take it and use it, and you won't need to kind of learn about, okay, how did this author design this one? So one thing that we take a look at a little bit later is how web components is different. So web components allow you a lot more choice as to how you want to set things up, but because of that, you don't really know how a web component is going to look, or you basically have to learn how it works. And another thing that was interesting about the component model is that it's decoupled from the open target. So if you want to write in JSX, and you want to compose things like that, you can also, if you have a proper backend, you can target something else. Like you can write for native, you can write for command line, you can write for VR, and all of these special things. So there's this list out there on Hacker News where you can see all the different backends, so all the different targets that React has. Where it's insane. Like I think it has a backend for, and also that they embrace the DOM. So they're built up on top of this system that maybe has some things that could be made a little bit better. So this brings us around to the actual proposals. So these are the actual ECMAScript proposals that the community has brought up. So how does this actually work? So the ECMAScript proposals, they go through this TC39 process. So they get from the very first stage, so stage 0 up to stage 4, just based on how much they have been discussed, and also documents. So if someone has created a formal spec document for it, also buy-in from the different browsers, so all of those different companies that I was showing. So really wild ideas just don't fly. They just don't make it very far. They make it to stage 0 or sometimes not even that. And then, eventually you get to stage 2, so that kind of feels like, okay, this is going to come into the platform. Let's see how we can actually make it happen. Stage 3, you're looking at getting some implementations, so from browsers, and then stage 4, okay, you have your implementations. Let's make this into a spec. So the React goals, so the goals that I've identified from taking a look at how they've been working and communication and everything. So they want to take the paradigms that are part of React, so functional programming, immutability, these kinds of ideas that make it easier to reason about, easier to program with. They want to take these and load them down into language so that they don't need as many abstractions. And so that things become a lot easier. Maybe they don't need React. Actually, I'm spoiling myself.
the lower level APIs as well. So basically, the stuff that exists in browsers, exposing that to users. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that goes on in browsers. Is it possible to open this up to users so they can actually leverage that, so they can use it to make something more performant, or to do different kinds of things that are not yet possible. And this was this one. To make React obsolete. So the overarching goal, it would be really nice to have all of these things that React is proposing already in the language, already in the standards. So what do some of the standards actually look like? So this is one of them from Sebastian Marc Augier. I think that's right. And so this one's actually in the language already. Maybe you guys are already using it. And so it just allows you to take certain properties, so multiple properties, or just a single variable, and to either add them to an object or to remove them to another variable. So it's super useful. Before that, you had a lot more code. Another one from Sebastian is this silent property access. So if you have null or undefined, and you want to go deep into this object, like very often you have like a user or something, you want to know the street address or something, maybe the user doesn't exist, that it doesn't throw an error unless you try to do something to it, like a delete or something. So that was before this other one. So this one comes from these other people that I actually, before I saw this spec, I didn't really hear about them. They have something that's come a little bit further. It's only stage 1 still, but it's come a little bit further than not even proposed. So I think this is pretty clear what's happening. You have a user that can be null or undefined, and then you can go deep into the object if you use the question mark operator. Class fields. This is another thing that is common in React. So I've seen this in code bases. So except for the private thing, that's something that I haven't really seen yet. Static and normal properties. Another one from Sebastian. So this is also an unproposed thing. So some of these things are just specs. They're on GitHub. They actually haven't been proposed yet because either they're too radical or they're just wasn't the right time. I mean, with the TC39, everything's very planned. So they have the plan for the next meeting already months before, and everything is really time boxed, and so you have to kind of choose your battles. So this is something where you can, it's just a little bit of sugar, so you can add the any kind of around that you would send into the constructor to when you're creating a new instance. You can just write it as the first example there. Another one from Sebastian, also Brian. So Brian is at Microsoft, and then CAPS, which is NPM, I think. The pattern matching. And so you can say for this particular variable, you can define a shape for it. So if it matches this shape, to do something. So it's just it's a more declarative, functional way of writing a code rather than having to test everything, like do some kind of conditions or stuff like this. It was inspired from Rust and F#. Jordan, so he's Airbnb, and this is already also in the spec. It just allows you to take an object and move through it in an array. So it just makes it to an array. Another one is for immutability. these immutable data structures. This didn't really go very far. It was presented in 2015. So really, actually, like a lot of these ideas, so immutability, or these things that seem like they're very fresh, leading edge, new. A lot of these things have been proposed before. Some of them are really, really old, and they just haven't made it too far in the spec process, or it's just too early for it. People aren't ready for it. But anyway, yeah. So this was where you actually would get a new object if you want to mutate that, if you want to change that object, that XY. Then what you will get is a new copy of it. So you don't need to worry about making your own copies. It just happens as part of this construct. Yeah, that was presented in 2015. Didn't really go anywhere because the implementers, so browsers, were like, actually, if we do this, that means we have to have new data structures for everything, and basically duplicating the code that we have, and it was also like unproven value. So maybe some of us feel like this kit could help us out, but it was unproven to like general web development. Yeah, and the shallow equality test, so just to know whether an object is equal on a shallow level. It was also proposed. It also had problems with it. Browsers were not too happy about it. So why does it happen like this? Why hasn't there been more progress? Why hasn't it moved faster along? Like, for instance, why not a full declarative component with that? So why not something like JSX, virtual DOM in a browser? So Sebastian, after he has been proposing some of these things, he was saying, yeah, it's too radical. Like, these changes, it's too much, too fast. And if we did do something like a virtual DOM, what they would end up doing is they just build it on top of the existing API. So basically, you have all of this stuff that maybe you don't really want to touch, but they would just build something on top of it as opposed to fundamentally changing how the model works. And yeah, Jake, Google guy, I think. Yeah, this was in response to the object observe thing. So there was object observe in the spec, and maybe even in browsers, maybe in Chrome or something, for a while, and basically allows you to watch an object, and if there's any changes to it, then okay, let me know, and then we do something about that. And the problem here is that trends, so trends become obsolete, so also React. So yeah, even this, yeah, who knows, in like 2-3 years, could be something new and hot that is so much better. So yeah, that's why it needs to be a little bit slower. It needs to be caution. Yeah, another thing is that, you know, once you get stuff in, you shouldn't really try to remove it again. So that thing with object observed, that wasn't completely in all browsers, so they were able to still pull it back. But very often, once you have something in the web, you don't want to bring it, you don't want to take it out again, because there's this tenet called don't break the web. So you don't want to cause people to go to a website and have it broken because the browser decided to change something that caused a previously working website. And so you have all of this history that you need to always support. Yeah, and what I was saying with it needs to mature, so ideas need to mature. And one way forward is to expose more browser APIs like this. So the Extensible Web Manifesto, I'm not sure if you guys have heard of this, but basically it is it's a low-level thing to take these features that are in browsers and to allow them to be used by users. So what does the future look like? There's been a lot of like doom and gloom. Are we just going to not have any good options. So one thing that some people think is that web components, the work that's been done on them, should actually be used. This was from Andre a while ago. This was last year or the year before. And he was positing that the web components could be leaf components. So if you have really nice, some kind of component that is, let's say, a time picker or something like that, something that doesn't exist yet, it could be used inside React or inside other frameworks. So how could this actually look? One way that it could look is this the reacted elements. This is one library that's out there that allows you to do this today. So it allows you to take a React component and actually, sorry, this is the other way around. So it allows you to take React components and put them inside web components. So there's actually both camps. There's the one camp that wants to use web components within React, and then there's the other one where you can use React within web components. And I believe this is also similar. So this is Skate.js, and so this is like mixing React and web components. Same kind of thing. So you're defining a React component that is going to be able to be defined as an element. So a web component. Maybe we can also do interop. So instead of putting React in web components or web components in React, maybe we can just say, okay, everyone is building with their own framework, with their own way of making components. Can't we just all play along and play together? And can't they just all understand each other? Another approach to this is the Unity component stack. I don't think it actually went a lot further. I think this was around the time that Sean actually joined Microsoft. So yeah, he's working on other stuff now. But yeah, his idea was that you could take something so like this single file component. So he creates the spec for a single file component. Maybe we can take this button from Vue and we can just use it within React. Like that would be awesome. It was unclear as to how it would work, but it's an interesting idea. And then you also have alternatives to DOM. So like basically throwing everything away and going to a completely new model. So these are some interesting talks from Douglas Crawford and also from Ken Wheeler. So they have actually very, very different approaches to it. So Douglas Crawford's Helper app is basically a way to upgrade the web. So to make it that, I think the way that he described it was like using a TV set-top box. So to be able to transfer off of one technology onto another one slowly. And so he had a separate helper program that was going to run that you can write programs for, and eventually the whole web would migrate over to it. Yeah, pretty radical. He did away with this whole idea of the DOM, I'm pretty sure, and he kept JavaScript, and he, for UIs, I think he went with Qt, so this Qt thing. Yeah, really interesting. And Ken Wheeler. So Ken Wheeler had this idea of an app browser. So instead of having a web browser, what if you were to have a way to browse through different mobile apps? So it's basically the same interface. So you can search for stuff, and you can visit different web applications. But in this case, you can use like mobile applications. And then of course there's new languages. So what if we can take all of these functional goodies and the immutability and everything? What if we can just take that in another language, basically? So reason built on top of OCaml, and so it takes a lot of concepts from that already. So maybe that's an option. Another way to deal with new languages that I just saw recently was this pull request in prepack. So prepack is a partial evaluator. So what it does is it tries to go through your application and understand what does it do, and then it takes the most minimal version of what your app does and makes that into a JavaScript file, basically. But what if instead of you making a JavaScript file, what if you can create instructions directly for the computer? So machine code or WebAssembly. So yeah, just really crazy out of the box thinking. I think in here they're trying to sidestep the whole architecture basically, and to speak more directly to the computer if they can. Yeah, so that was pretty much the future. So what are the takeaways here? Standards move slowly, so they need consensus. React, so they're taking the standards that they believe are correct, and they're going in the right direction. They want to curate this a little bit. The DOM is something that is imperative, it's difficult to deal with, and maybe there's a better model. If we can take some of the ideas of React and we can lower that into the language, whatever that language will be, probably JavaScript, then we can all benefit from that. And the new lower level APIs, so that were enabling new approaches to things. So if, for instance, the extensible web manifesto, it just offers us different ways of dealing with things. And DOM alternatives, they may offer us a way out. So just different models, different way of dealing with things in the future. That was it.